My name is John Mitchell. My farm is located in Larson, Wisconsin. It's a little bit north of Oshkosh, a little bit west of Neenah. I was born and raised on this farm. I've lived here for 37 years. Me and my brother purchased the land, cattle, and machinery from my dad in 2015. And at that point in time, me and my wife purchased a house and an acre. I live here with my wife and two daughters. My wife is Candy. The youngest is Jade, and the oldest is Madison. I raise roughly between 150 and 200 steers, and me and my brother together run the farm, but we cash crop, and we run 500 acres total. Roughly 200 acres of corn, roughly 200 acres of beans, and then the rest was wheat with a little bit of hay that we make. My accident was on September 7th, 2022. Me and my brother were just starting to chop corn right across the road. I had some issues with the head on the pull-type chopper. I got out to grab some of the corn off the head and to feed it into the chopper, and I tripped and fell, which at that point in time, it sucked my right arm in, amputating that, and then part of my left foot got amputated also at the same time. My brother found me. We figured that I was in there for maybe 15 minutes, 12 minutes, somewhere in that range. Obviously at that point, my brother called 911. Fire department came, took them roughly 45 or 50 minutes to get me out. They put me in an ambulance to get me out of the field, and then they loaded me in a helicopter, and from there I went to Neenah, Theta Clark and Neenah, which in a helicopter is only about 3 minutes from what they tell me. I spent 12 days in the hospital and then came home and started the whole figuring out the way your new life is gonna be. So after I got out of the hospital and back home, there was a gentleman that came out to kind of see where my limitations were and see what we did here and how we run our operation. My wife's aunt had actually came to visit me in the hospital, and she had talked to us about Easter seals and agribility and the things that they do for farmers in this situation and the options that were out there. So immediately my wife filled out the paperwork while she was sitting there with me in the hospital and kind of got the ball rolling. But he pretty much followed me around while I was doing chores, and I showed him, how we do things X, Y, and Z, and he was snap your fingers, you need help with this, you need help with this would really help you. He was very quick to tell me what would really help in my situation with our operation. I really struggled with driving my skid loader because we use that 70% of our operation runs off of that skid loader, feeding and cleaning. There was a few things that I struggled with in the shop, and he was able to determine that right away. And those are the things that make it easy for me now, or even, I should say, capable. The skid loader that I have now, they eliminated the right joystick, and they put foot pedals in it. And the foot pedals that are in it, they're actually set up electronic over hydraulic, and they're extremely sensitive because of the injury that I had with my foot. It's hard for me to roll my foot back. So the pedals are set up for me so that I can run it just like it had two joysticks in it. Another thing that is in this skid loader that really helps me out is with having a prosthetic, it's hard to turn your head all the way to the right to look back. This skid loader came with a full backup camera in it. The other thing that it came with is hydraulic disconnect, which my old skid loader, you had to put the safety bar up, lean forward, and pull the levers to detach the bucket. And this one is just it's just a button that you hit to release the bucket, which is a huge help. It's pretty amazing that there is a program out there. When a person goes through an accident like this, you feel like your life is gone. You're never going to be able to do what you did in the past. And Easter Seals and Agribility, that program is pretty amazing to me because it changed my whole aspect on life. It really brought my spirits up. the changes in the adaptive equipment that I have received, I knew there was stuff out there like this to, help somebody out in my situation, but I didn't realize that somebody would actually come out and, watch you work and see what you do and make this equipment like specifically for you. Anybody who goes through this, you will get into a spot where you're dark. You don't know what's going to happen. I'm laying in the hospital. I don't know if I'm going to be able to ever farm again or what's going to even happen to the farm. The one thing that I will say is that you need to somehow, some way find some hope, because at the end of the day, after you go through something like that, you will get better, and it'll get to a point where you just have to level with it. Once you get to a point where you're 100%, you're new 100%, you have to level with that and just deal with it. Now, I sit here and say this, and I'll be the first one to say it's still hard for me to level with it. But once you level with it, you gain your happiness back, and you deal with it, you accept it, and you got to move on. But one thing I will say is don't give up and don't lose hope, because when you get something like this, like, it really takes your spirits and lifts them, because you can do the normal everyday thing that you did before with these, adaptions that are done to this equipment. And at that point in time, where I was, and still to this day, where me and my brother were in our farming career, it's not like we could have just went out there and purchased that. It was not feasible. It was not even a possibility. So that Easter Seals and Agribility, what they're doing is, it's hands down, for people that get into a bad situation, it's amazing.